You know what? We talked about this before the show, and I said I wasn't going to say anything, but there's a little bit of petty in me, and I like a little bit of spicy. I like spice. Your boy Jay Holley, I like a little spice in my life. Stephen A. Smith. Who hasn't Stephen A. Smith beef with? That's a real question. His latest beef, two things about Stephen A. Smith. Stephen A. has stepped out of kind of just being this just on TV thing to now he's doing this thing about all the podcasts. And he came out this week and he talked about he failed. Let's be honest. He came out and he talked about Max Kellerman and why that duo didn't work. And I think the way that Stephen A. was kind of saying some things, he thought the people were going to be more on his side. They didn't. He was just saying, like, he said that Max Kellerman wasn't an athlete and he wasn't a journalist, so it kind of just didn't work, and he just didn't like working with him. A lot of people bounced back and said, Stephen A., we had no problem with Max. You're trying to say publicly that we didn't like it as a fan base, and everybody's saying we didn't have a problem with Max. It was more so that you didn't like Max putting you in your place more often than not on your show. Egos get involved. But in that, one of the most probably viewed moments between Stephen A. Smith and Max Kellerman was they had the great Terrell Owens on the show. And in that time, we were in the height of racism. The Colin Kaepernick thing was happening and all this stuff was happening. And T.O. began to get on there and was talking about how he felt that Max Kellerman was kind of more black than Stephen A. Whatever that means. I mean, clearly, but not by color, but whatever that means. Stephen A. took offense to it. Of course he would. They get into this back and forth spat, and then the one thing about Stephen A. that you'll lose a lot of times is that he's on TV every day. And he'll remind you oftentimes, I have the number one sports talk show, morning show, 12 years running. And he does. And when you have that platform, you can say what you want. You can decide to say it every single day. T.O. doesn't. They had their beef, and then it came to Twitter. Oh, it came back to light. And there's no better place than a nice little Twitter beef. And there's no better place than a nice little Twitter beef with petty people. Because some people take the high road and go, you know what? Not responding. That's not T.O. That's not Stephen A. Smith. So they get into this back and forth. And Stephen A., I think Stephen A. kind of pulled the lady card. He's like, oh, don't let me expose you. I'm like, here we go. Not the exposing. I just exposing wears me down to no end. Let me expose you. T.O.'s like, brother, I've lived my whole life in the public eye. Expose me about what? And it all comes out. Stephen A. says on the show today that, that T.O., then he makes more assumptions that T.O., after that interaction on the show, where T.O. called him Max more black than Stephen A. Stephen A. then says that after that, T.O. tried to sue him. Had lawyers call ESPN and tried to sue him. I'm assuming for defamation of character. It didn't work out, but then now Stephen A. is like, well, I can wonder why he was trying to get money. And he's like, money. I'm like, golly, that hurts. So he's assuming that T.O. had money issues and was trying to get a little bit of bread out of either ESPN and or Stephen A. I find it hard that T.O. needs money. Like, I'm around a lot of former players and, like, what these guys get for an autograph appearance. And now T.O.'s a Hall of Famer. I mean, T.O. can probably go get, especially during the football season, easily 20 to 30,000 a weekend by autograph signings and so on and so forth. I don't think T.O. needs money, but hey, I'm a broke boy. I need money. I don't speak for nobody else, and I ain't trying to expose nobody else. But yeah.